Hey, everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Politics with Sherry Jacobus. Thank you for subscribing. And if you're not a subscriber yet and you like what we do here, help me out and hit that button. So it looks like the 40-day government shutdown and all the suffering that so many people endured with the Trump and MAGA GOP government shutdown, um, it was for nothing because Democrats caved. Yeah. Now, Hakeem Jeffries hasn't lost any Democrats on this. Hats off to him. But Chuck Schumer, let's see. We lost 8 Senate Democrats: Janine Sheehan, Angus King, Maggie Hassan, Catherine Cortez Masto, Tim Kaine, Jackie Rosen, Dick Durbin, and John Fetterman. And we got nothing for a 40-day shutdown. People went hungry. People were scared. We literally had breadlines and they caved. And here's the thing. This happened just, I mean, in like the week that we had this amazing, huge Democratic victory, literally all across the country at local and state levels. And this is what Chuck Schumer allows to happen in the Senate. We got nothing. There are literally no concessions, no extensions for the Affordable Care Act, which is what this was all about. And Democrats succeeded in letting Republicans know, letting Trump know that if you starve our people, we'll respond. So yeah, keep doing that. Rather than this being a lesson in showing how cruel and brutal Trump is, that he's not like any past president. He's a dictator. He's evil. He is responsible for so many deaths, and we let that slide. And then he goes and pardons the rest of the folks that were stealing the election to stop the steal, including Rudy Giuliani. So now they're going to erase history. And we didn't learn our lessons. Democrats didn't learn their lessons with Merrick Garland. And we have Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer has to go. I don't care if he's complicit or just weak or too old. I don't care. It doesn't matter anymore. And at this point, it's not about changing him. I don't think he can change, and it's too late anyway. This is now about Democrats in the Senate stepping up now. Privately, followed by, say, you got 2 hours, Chuck Schumer, and then I'm going public. You tell him it's time to go. You have to step down as leader, period. We don't care if you're a nice guy or not. It really doesn't matter. There's lots of nice people who aren't screwing up the Senate minority leader. So at this point, I love what a lot of these Democratic senators are doing their own videos, doing their own thing. But we can't have daily fact-checking press briefings in the Capitol for Democrats because of Chuck Schumer. There's no excuse. No excuse. So at this point, again, I love what Chris Murphy is doing with his videos. I love what all of them are doing when they go out there on their own. But at this point, if they do not, this is now the elephant in the room. Now we have a Democrat in the House, Ro Khanna of California. He is saying that Chuck Schumer has to step down, and good for him. Good for him. But that's the House. And then we have Hakeem Jeffries when he was asked, is Chuck Schumer doing a good job and should he stay leader? And he says yes to both questions, which is BS, and we all know it. Somebody has to be the first big name to step up in the Senate, and I think others will follow. Because I don't think that Democrats in the Senate want to rally around Chuck Schumer. So fine, the way you do it is first you have the private meetings and you let them know. And you give them a deadline. And then you start leaking to the press who the alternatives would be. And then it starts getting leaked that there's, support among Democrats in the Senate to get behind one or two of these candidates. Chris Murphy, Amy Klobuchar. I'm just throwing out names here. Okay? But it has to happen now. It is not acceptable. It is completely unacceptable and even shocking that Democrats caved after this country and the people, Democrats out in the field were working their rear ends off for these elections. And the people spoke in greater numbers than we ever could have dreamed. The victory was massive on so many levels in the Tuesday elections. And Democrats go and cave like this? That's not okay. And yes, we have to blame Chuck Schumer. Now, I put a poll on Twitter, maybe some of you guys saw it, basically saying, does Chuck Schumer need to go or not? And 97.2% say he's got to go. Yeah, he's got to go. And 2.8% say, no, keep him. They were probably MAGA Republicans. Chuck Schumer is a great gift to Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans. And that's why he has to go. Like I said, I don't care anymore why he is what he is. This isn't just weakness. I don't care. Just like with Merrick Garland, it got to the point where it's like, I don't care if he's complicit or just, weak, ineffective, and too afraid. It doesn't matter anymore. At some point, it's just like, just leave. Give the job to somebody who can do the job, who's willing to do what it takes to save this country. And the reason I started thinking that Merrick Garland was complicit is because going after Hunter Biden meant job security for him. And he knew it. So why would he want to keep a job that he was doing such a poor job at? And that's when I started thinking, okay, he's complicit. So again, Democrats had this huge win. Democrats across the country had this huge win despite the weak leadership in Washington. It was the governors running for the gubernatorial candidates, lieutenant governors running for lieutenant governors, mayors in the state houses across the country, Prop 50 in California. On and on and on it went. Democratic victory after Democratic victory as the night wore on. And then this happens in the United States Senate, where they sell us out like this. If they were going to do this, if they were going to be so weak and they were going to do this, why not do it in the beginning? Why make Americans suffer for 40 days for nothing? People were hungry. We were in the courts. In fact, taking it all the way to the Supremes. So that Trump couldn't starve people anymore. And those funds would be loosened up. We had Democratic governors stepping up and saying, too bad, we already released those funds. When a federal judge told Trump he couldn't do that. And so 9 states were in the process. And then the Supreme Court stepped in and said, halt. Trump said, halt. And they said, no. Governor Evers of Wisconsin said, no, we're feeding the people. We got the word. It's already in the pipeline. We're doing it. What these 8 Democrats in the Senate did under the horrible leadership or non-leadership of Chuck Schumer undid so much of what Democrats and independents and many Republicans did in the election days before in this country. They undid it. They just threw a big smoke bomb into the room. And now Trump is more emboldened than ever. I have from the beginning, the beginning of the second Trump administration, I got it in print. I put it everywhere. So many of you and so many others, including Mark Cuban, put this out there that we need. They supported what I said. It went viral. We need daily fact-checking press briefings from the Capitol building. And to say what Democrats are for, even though obviously you can't speak for all the House and all the Senate. Schumer could still have done that. Hakeem Jeffries still does it in the House. But something that was still a congressional function, and there is a way to do it. And I even laid out how to pay for it and how to get it done instantly. Because this is what I've done for decades and my many, many years working on Capitol Hill and leadership positions in leadership offices. And I am almost certain that if Chuck Schumer had facilitated those daily press briefings, not leading them himself, he could still do his Senate ones. but he was the one standing in the way. And if we had had those, we would not be in this position right now. We never would have had a government shutdown. And if we would have won. We would have won. I can't get my head around it that we are 10 years into this era of Trump, and we still have Democrats and people on our side seemingly doing all they can to throw a wrench into our efforts to save this country. I mean, it is just unbelievable to me. Unbelievable to me. The damage that Chuck Schumer has done. It's no longer about him not being very good at his job. Him in that position is now damaging this country and harming people. And again, he might be complicit. He goes way back with Trump. Our friend Don Winslow, I remember, put a picture up a few months ago, an old picture of a young Chuck Schumer, whatever office he had in state assembly, on his way in, entering, the big party that Trump was throwing. It was the Roy Cohn birthday party. I don't think that Chuck Schumer thinks of Donald Trump as an adversary, let alone a dangerous dictator who has caused the death and the suffering of untold numbers of people. His first administration with COVID, and now with the extrajudicial murders in the Caribbean that the UN has said, stop. These are illegal. These are not acceptable. And Trump continues to do it. Trump isn't going to stop until someone stops him. And Democrats were willing to fight. Democrats around the country were willing to fight to stop him. And Chuck Schumer and these 8 losers in the Senate sold us out. Sold us out. I'm livid. It's hard enough fighting a complicit press or media. They're not press, they're media. Remember, Richard Nixon is the one that started calling the press the media to make it sound a little bit more light, like propaganda. Well, in our case, it's definitely that. So we've lost the American press. The corporate press, they're all Trumpers. They're gone. But we still have people out there in every town and county and state and in the cities fighting. And we did it. The millions of us that showed up at the No Kings protests. And we get sold out like this. We get sold out like this. So at this point, it's not enough to go to Chuck Schumer's office. This isn't about Chuck Schumer. I mean, it is, but it's not about convincing him of doing anything. He's not going to step aside on his own. We must demand that our Democratic senators step up, and immediately. This has to happen quickly. Not, we'll give them till the end of the year. Chuck Schumer has to go. They are the ones that can make it happen. In fact, they are the only ones who can make it happen. So that's our assignment. As much as we love what they're saying and doing, and in their own individual, videos and press statements and everything, that's not the same, first of all, as a daily press briefing that I've outlined that has to happen to be on par with the White House press briefing every day, so that you create something that's the equal opposite of it. It will make all the news. It will get picked up. It will be live streamed. It'll hit the wire services all around the country. Everything we need, it will happen. All the other stuff is nice, but it's just individual voices out there. So at this point, we need our individual Democratic senators, and we must demand they do it, as much as we like what they're doing as individuals. And I do. I appreciate them and what they say and do. But it's a drop in the bucket, and it doesn't undo what Chuck Schumer did. They are the only ones with this power. Remember, we talk a lot about power. And I think 2028, if we get to have elections in 2028, a Democratic nomination, the big question is going to be, well, what are your plans, for dealing with MAGA or Trump running for a third term, or JD Vance, whatever it is, with what's happened. And I don't want to really hear what their plans are. I mean, everybody will have plans. That's great. Put it on paper, share it. I want to know what you did with the power you had when you had it. And right now, it's Gavin Newsom going to the climate change conference because Trump pulled us out. Prop 50, all of it. It's Pritzker. I think Shapiro, Pennsylvania, he's going to start doing stuff. What did you do with your power? And Chuck Schumer, you seem to be working for the other side. And now, with our individual Democratic senators, as much as I like what they're saying and doing and how most of them are voting, I think it's still a litmus test for a lot of things. What did you do with the power you had when you had it? Well, right now, every Democratic senator has the power to help get rid of Chuck Schumer. First, you go to Schumer privately, and then you let him know you're taking it public. And you do. Or you get a coalition of you. There's strength in numbers. You have a press conference. You do a letter. Chuck Schumer likes letters, right? He thinks that's the same as getting stuff done. You send him a letter. And the letter basically says, it is time to go. And you start floating the other names. And we get this done quickly. And we get a real leader. So that's what I'm saying right now. I'm no longer, I'll tag Schumer in my tweets. It doesn't matter. He didn't care. But right now, I think we better all start tagging our Democratic senators saying, I'm going to stop listening to you and what you're saying until the time comes when you will do what you need to do and step up and tell Chuck Schumer it's time to go. That's now the litmus test. And anybody who's not doing that, again, I don't care what your press statements are. I don't care what your videos say. This is what we need from you now. You have the power to do it. And again, we all showed up at the No Kings protest. We're out here on our podcast. We have just regular people who aren't activists showing up to vote. They're going to the protests. And they're working on the MAGA in their life because we know that if each one of us can change the hearts and mind of one MAGA, we win. We have people out in the country doing this. Democrats, never Trump Republicans, independents. So what we need from our senators, step up, do your part. I'm done hearing the rhetoric. The rhetoric doesn't matter if you're not going to do the big thing, the one thing that we need right now, and that is to get rid of Chuck Schumer.